Now this is the first video of a 5-part series for the 5 coming weeks, where we release one video each week showing the top 5 disruptive technologies from the most important industry sectors, consisting of spaceflight, the energy sector, biotech, computer-related technology and transportation.
So stay tuned to find out which are the top 5 disruptive transportation technologies in our opinion for the next few years.
Number 5. Flying cars. Here's one where Elon doesn't partake in and where we disagree with Elon. In fact, Elon has been quite vocal against flying cars, to our surprise.
There is a challenge with flying cars in that they'll be quite noisy. The wind force generated will be very high. Let's just say that if something's flying over your head, if there are a whole bunch of flying cars going all over the place, that is not an anxiety-reducing situation.
It's an absolute no-brainer that flying cars will happen sooner or later, because there are so many companies already working on flying cars. Like, for example, Uber, Kitty Hawk, Airbus, Boeing, Lilium, EHang, Volocopter, Lyft, Bell, Aeromobile, Terrafugia, Alakai, Urban Aeronautics, and probably a few more that we have forgotten because there are just so many.
So you see, there are many companies actively working on flying cars. It's not just vaporware. This stuff is really happening and coming sooner than you think. From what we've gathered, we can expect flying air taxis to be used by 2025 and really become mainstream by 2030, depending how fast regulations will be in place, of course. And this will certainly disrupt the public transportation sector and taxi services.
Number 4. Boring company tunnels. So apart from Elon's other ventures like Tesla and SpaceX, the Boring Company certainly gets less exposure and media coverage. But nonetheless, we'd like to talk about it because we think that it will disrupt the transportation sector significantly. Elon started Boring Company back in 2016, shortly after being stuck in LA traffic and being mad about it, and getting this crazy idea of how to circumvent these brutal LA traffic jams.
And now, a few years later, a 1.14-mile-long test tunnel already exists in Hawthorne, near SpaceX's facility. And the first commercial tunnel is planned for the Las Vegas Convention Center to be completed by 2021. Just imagine every larger city having one boring tunnel network. Imagine being able to travel to anywhere in the city in a matter of few minutes and not having to be stuck in traffic jams. Imagine doing that for the fraction of the cost of regular public transportation or taxis. Now you understand that the ones being disrupted will be the public transportation companies and of course traditional ICE cars, because they won't be able to use the boring tunnel network. Only pedestrians and self-driving capable electric cars will be. Once you understand this, you suddenly grasp the full potential of disruption going on here.
Number 3. The Hyperloop. We have spoken already quite a bit about Hyperloop, even dedicated a bit of a longer video on it, which you can watch right here. So why do we think that Hyperloop is so important? Well, first of all, we didn't have a major breakthrough in transportation speed since like over 50 years now. So it's really about time for a new disruptive transportation technology. Interestingly, the concept of pneumatic transportation in tubes is really absolutely not new. In fact, it's about 200 years old. In the 19th century, there were actually many different train concepts being tested based upon that technology, of which we also talk in our Hyperloop video. Now, Elon came up with the idea for the Hyperloop back in 2012 and detailed it in a 2013 white paper, link in the description. Now, the interesting part about Hyperloop is not only that you are over 3 times faster than a normal high-speed bullet train, in fact you are even faster than most airplanes.
You will travel at 700 miles per hour or 1,126 kilometers per hour in the Hyperloop. But it's also far cheaper, costing only around 10% of a classic high-speed railway. It can be entirely operated by solar panels fitted onto the Hyperloop tubes. so it produces less carbon emissions. And it's also safer than classic railway. We think that Hyperloop will be very disruptive to classic high-speed bullet trains and will be the transportation of choice for medium trip distances of the order of 1,000 kilometers.
Number 2. The supersonic electric VTOL jet. Now, Elon has been teasing the idea of an electric supersonic passenger VTOL jet on quite numerous occasions. Take a listen.
Well, I mean, the exciting thing to do would be some sort of electric vertical takeoff and landing supersonic jet. I think the optimal sort of air transport solution is a VTOL electric supersonic plane. I mean, I've been sort of toying with the design for an electric supersonic vertical takeoff and landing electric aircraft for a while. Electric supersonic vertical takeoff and landing plane. A supersonic vertical takeoff and landing electric jet. To work on something which is a vertical takeoff and landing supersonic electric jet. Vertical takeoff and landing supersonic electric jet. To try to create an aircraft that is a supersonic vertical takeoff and landing electric jet. Do an electric aircraft.
You want to do an electric aircraft?
Yeah, and supersonic and vertical takeoff and landing actually work well with electric. And I do think one could create an electric jet that is really exciting, something that would be supersonic, vertical takeoff and landing, pure electric.
Now, it can be shown that should the energy density of batteries near the mark of 500 watt-hours per kilogram, battery-powered electric jets start to become really viable. Now, in order in the future not to have these huge airports anymore that take up a huge amount of space, we want to be more economical, and therefore the jet should be capable of vertically taking off and landing. This is called VTOL.
Of course, they should be faster than regular airplanes. We only had the Concorde, which is the only supersonic passenger airplane that ever flew, and was in operation from 1976 to 2003. It actually first flew already in 1969. But apart from that, there hasn't been any breakthrough in the aviation industry. And airplanes are basically identical to those from the 50s or 60s, which is an absolute embarrassment to say the least. So this industry needs brutal disruption, and the electric supersonic VTOL jet would be exactly that.
Now, there are a few startups already working on the next generation of supersonic jets, such as Boom, who are working on a Mach 2.2 jet, which will have no sonic boom, despite the name, or Ariane Supersonic with their Mach 1.4 jet. However, none of those jets are electric yet and have VTOL capability. But it's still nice to see, of course, some progress going on in this area, because let's be honest, as with spaceflight, it's just extremely disappointing and quite honestly embarrassing that in the year 2019 we still fly with the same speed as 50 years ago. It's embarrassing. No, actually we fly with less speed than 50 years ago because the Concorde had the first maiden flight in 1969. So yeah, embarrassment all over again. So it seems that we need our favorite disruptor again to brutally disrupt this industry sector that has been dormant and lazy and complacent since the 50s. And judging by Elon's success with other industry sectors, we think there will be a brutal disruption. And we're looking forward to it. Number 1. Self-driving cars. Okay, so we didn't include the Starship in this top 5 list because Starship is more space-related technology, and we will talk a lot about Starship in our space technology-related top 5 disruptive technologies video. So don't worry, we did not forget Earth-to-Earth travel by Starship. No, we didn't forget it. So self-driving cars.
This is the most obvious one. And here, we already have a multitude of companies developing this technology. But according to some recent reports, it seems as if there is one which is 4 years ahead of all the others. Yes, Tesla's full self-driving technology is, according to some analysis, 4 years ahead of any competition. Why? Because they can use the entire data from their pretty gigantic fleet, now over 500,000 cars, which are constantly gathering data from autopilot. And in this race to level 5 full self-driving autonomy, data is the most important asset. And Tesla just has by far the most data available to optimize their full self-driving algorithm. Also, they have developed their own chip to handle all the data. Their FSD neural net processor that employs the latest neural net AI technology.
They are so far ahead actually that they plan on releasing their self-driving robotaxi service by late 2020, meaning full level 5 autonomous self-driving capability. Now your Tesla will be able to drive anywhere on its own and will in the process also be able to earn you some money. Now in this case it's quite funny because not only the legacy car makers will be disrupted, but also the disruptors themselves will be disrupted who are disrupting the taxi industry and the legacy car makers, and now they themselves will also be disrupted. But one thing is sure, self-driving will absolutely change the way we commute and the way we view our cars. Because suddenly your car becomes an extension of your home, an extension of your living and working space. And commuting to and from work will not be lost time anymore. It will become a home or an office on wheels where you can do productive stuff or relax or do whatever you would do at home or at work.
So do you agree with the top 5 disruptive transportation technologies on our list? Which one would you like to add or even remove?
None, because our list is perfect. There's nothing to change. I thought about it for like 5 minutes. Therefore it's perfect. So this was the first part of our 5-part series, which will be released every week on Disruptive, the most important disruptive technologies. And we're only releasing currently 1 video per week because, sorry, we're on a huge America trip right now.
And you can find the entire playlist for these 25 top disruptive technologies right here, such that you don't miss a single episode. See you soon!
Ciao!